60 years that this mechanical gem has dazzled us. 60 years that its simple, sober and elegant lines have fascinated us. 60 years full of luxury without any ostentation that wealthy collectors have distinguished and recognized, and for which they are ready to pay the price. The most famous and most refined extra-flat watches celebrate their 60th anniversary. The Altiplano, an emblematic model of the beautiful Swiss manufacturer Piaget, and one of the most beautiful chapters in the history of fine watchmaking. The 60th anniversary of this little revolution will be celebrated during 2017 with numerous models. In 1957, Valentin Piaget provoked a revolution in the world of watchmaking with his extra-flat manual winding 9P caliber that would become iconic, starting with its presentation at the Basel Fair. 2 mm thick, incredible finesse, high-tech, elegant, powerful and reliable. This is not surprising for Piaget, who, since the beginning of the 20th century, have specialized in extra-flat components, but it's a destiny that owes everything to the determination of its master watchmakers since its founding in 1874. In 1960, the grandson of the founder retired with the success of the 12P, an extra-flat automatic movement, 2.3 mm, a finesse until then that was unthinkable thanks to the use of an off-center micro-rotor in 24-karat pure gold, guaranteeing an efficient winding of the barrel spring. Two revolutionary movements that bring Piaget into the modern era, with gold and platinum as their preferred materials. Modernity and luxury that permit everything in terms of creation, since everything is possible with such a thin dial, from the skeletonization to the display of the double time zone.
One of the highlights of Altiplano 60 years ago was, as the movement was very, very fine, we could match a very fine movement to a dial often made of hard stone or set with stone, and to have a watch that was always relatively thin.
With a name that pays tribute to the high plateau of the Andes and whose universe echoes its beauty, this simple watch in appearance is of great sophistication. The proof is found with its circular Côte de Genève angled bridges, beaded platinum and blued screws. Piaget expertise and excellence is guaranteed by the fact that an Altiplano is made from conception to finish in the specialized fine watchmaking workshops of the manufacturer. So many characteristics that are still relevant today. Presented from its creation as elite timepieces, its success continues, like the personalities that wear them, from businessmen to chic jet-setters of all ages. From its beginning on the international scene, the biggest actors line up to wear Altiplano, like the blue-eyed French actor Alain Delon at the premiere of Is Paris Burning in 1966. And many more, like the many photographs of the brand's archives reveal. Indeed, one of the latest ambassadors of the Piaget house, Canadian actor Reynolds, came to Geneva to admire the new Piaget face at the SIHH, a stand that displays the hours of the day under the changing light of dawn, just like all other moments of the day. To celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Altiplano, a collection of limited edition and numbered models were highlighted. Featuring dazzling or unexpected colors for Piaget, who had us more accustomed to the turquoise of Mediterranean waters. Although color and light have always been part of the creative codes of the House of Piaget, the tones of 2017 bring a real modern feel.
We're in the sunny side of life. We decided to give color to life, to be positive, finally be a happy brand. And so we wanted to express this attitude and joy through the dials. Historically, we've had many dials in stone, and so we brought sun-drenched brushed dials, so that when you walk, your dial grabs the light and emits a lot of positive energy.
Votre cadran prend la lumière, il y a beaucoup d'énergie qui se dégage.
Dials with gradient effects, like the joyous pink that contrasts with the polished white gold of the 34mm cases that are also adorned with diamonds. And in their hearts, a 2.1mm thick 430p caliber, a worthy heir to the mythic 9p from 1957. Midnight blue and pink gold, slate grey and white gold, pine green and yellow gold. Here is a trio of Altiplanos with 40mm cases that integrate a 1203p movement, the successor of the 1205p from 2013, continuing in the vein of the initial 12p from 1960. As a small bonus, this automatic movement allows the wearer to add the date on the dial. Reworked and inspired by the aesthetic of the first ultra-flat watches, we love the vintage elegance of the new classics in 18-karat white gold and cobalt blue of the Altiplano Mechanic 38mm and the Altiplano Automatic 43mm. A large automatic model with a 2.35mm 1220p caliber, born in 2010 for the 50th birthday of the legendary 12p, and the result of 3 years of development, not forgetting the sapphire glass on the back so you can observe the finesse of its movement. Another big innovation, in addition to its bright colors, is that the Altiplano now has a tourbillon in 2017, and it's the first time in its history that it adopts this most noble of watch complications.
We also have an Altiplano tourbillon, which is quite exceptional. It also shows how Piaget can really put together the trades of watchmaker and fine jewelry maker. And those are two expert skills we really possess.
There's no need to say, it is truly exceptional. Here is the 670p, an extra flat mechanical manual winding tourbillon movement that is 4.6mm thick and equipped with a patented stem winding system with return, not forgetting its new barrel, which increased the power reserve to 48 hours. These fine watches and limited editions give meaning to these words. Feather art is once again highlighted, and a few brilliant expert crafts are represented here with some fabulous models.
On présente aussi au salon beaucoup d'altiplano avec des cadrans qui sont des métiers.
We also present at the Salon many Altiplano models with dials that are really expert pieces of art. For example, there is work on a gold sculpture. There's a marvelous timepiece with a feather dial. There are dials that are a mix of hard stone and leather and a mix of wood and leather. There are many unique pieces, including opal dials. It's true that we're able to dress the Altiplano models with dials that demonstrate an expert craft that is often forgotten, but is still marvelous. That is the SIHH.
Souvent oublié, mais toujours merveilleux. Ça, c'est le SIHH.
Rare and exclusive crafts. The feather and its expertise continue to develop at Piaget Fine Jewelry and Fine Watchmaking, with the Altiplano feather marquetry and the work of the young feather artist Émilie Moutard-Martin, who assembled with expertise on this tiny dial a blend of duck, peacock and cock feathers covered in silver leaf, a small work of art with an equally incredible couture bracelet. Praise for the marquetry of feathers, yes, but also make way for the unprecedented pieces of lace on gold. Altiplano double game and lacework on gold cuff, an art that artist and expert Sara Bran is the only one to exercise in the world, to her knowledge, because it's an expertise that demands patience, determination and passion, contrary to this hyper-mechanized world.
It is indeed very special, and I would even say that it does not exist. I'd say sometimes I needed a craft, and so I invented one. I have adapted a traditional technique of jewelry making, and I specialized in this technique until I had the technical ability to make lace on gold, since my favorite material is gold, for jewelry or fine watchmaking, but with the rendering of a lace textile, with the finesse of a lace textile, of handmade lace, of course.
Donc avec la finesse d'une dentelle textile et d'une dentelle manuelle, bien sûr.
A technique that has nothing to do with the filigree technique that assembles very finely twisted threads through micro-welding. Here, the lacemaker proceeds by removing the material from plates of different thickness based on the model, dial of the watch or cuff. A delicate work that demands many attempts for the prototypes and a year of work, just for the cuff.
Alors il y a toujours un dessin au début. Il y a plusieurs dessins même, je dirais. Il y a les esquisses et ensuite on va arriver à un dessin précis.
There is always a drawing at the beginning. There are several drawings and sketches. Then we arrive at a precise drawing, a technical trace scale to 1, like in jewelry. Then we must trace the entirety of the drawing on the gold plate, with a dry point or the point of a compass. Once this drawing is in place, and it is very important that it is really precise, since it is this drawing that will serve as a reference throughout the work, then I'll make the holes, drill with a hand drill, and once all the holes are made, except those I've forgotten, I'll work with the hacksaw, which is really the basic instrument of a jeweler, to literally saw and cut out the material. So I'll pass the blade saw into the hole, and then I'll cut out my plate. I will remove a first cutout, and then a second, and then a third, and then a few hundred, up to thousands.
Donc je vais enlever une première forme, et puis une deuxième, et puis une troisième, et puis quelques centaines, et puis jusqu'à des milliers.
At the base of this project that started a year ago, the magic of an encounter and the emergence of commonalities between lace and Piaget, such as extreme finesse, level of precision, incursions into the floral and vegetal world, and poetry. A savoir-faire that Piaget wished to integrate into its models, but with its codes and aesthetics.
Donc c'est Piaget qui, avec son designer, est venu à l'atelier.
So it was Piaget with their designer who came to the workshop to get to know my world, since it remains a collaboration. After the designer was able to identify in my workshop as much as he could in terms of expertise and technique of ornamental design, he created a design that corresponded to the codes of the House of Piaget, that communicates this radiant effect, but with patterns that are mine as well.
Mais avec des motifs qui sont les miens aussi.
The solar effect is expressed here in the rhythm of the lace, tight in the center and then more relaxed towards the outside. While Piaget always highlights its heritage and its expertise in art and creation, the manufacturer is constantly at the height of technological innovation.
On travaille beaucoup en interne, on met quand même beaucoup de temps. Aujourd'hui, le développement d'un mouvement.
We work a lot internally. We put a lot of time into it. The development of our movements often takes more than 3 years, and we're continually working more on technological innovation. We've always done this. So we will unveil a watch concept that will be the thinnest watch ever made. But we will not sell this watch, just develop it. Because we've worked for more than 3 years on more than 8 different parts of the project. Each one, be it the glass on the watch, or the barrel, or the exhaust, to see how we can work with smaller elements, but also more efficient elements, so that we can have a watch that is much thinner, but also much more powerful, which has never been done in the past. So technology is in our genes, but as always, technology that is at the service of design.
Donc la technologie, elle est dans nos gènes, mais toujours une technologie qui est au service du design.
Piaget will go even further and builds on the potential of future engineers.
On s'était rapproché depuis plus de 2 ans avec l'EPFL.
For more than 2 years, we've been close to EPFL, which is the big university in Switzerland in terms of engineering. And then we came up with the idea of working with them in this field, which is the field of miniaturization, to come up with a competition called the Piaget Scientific Award, which was for people who already have their PhDs and are experts in this field. And the winner will spend a year at our expense on the EPFL campus, either in Lausanne or in Neuchâtel, depending on the subject they choose. And again, it will allow us. It won't necessarily be in the domain of watchmaking, but there will certainly be positive consequences. And again, there is this desire to find technical or technological solutions to make our watches more efficient in the future.
Technique ou technologique pour rendre des montres plus performantes dans le futur.
formidable perspectives for a manufacturer that will continue to celebrate its most beautiful watch invention, a timepiece that is part of its patrimony demonstrating the passing of time. So timeless that it is always in fashion, so sober and classic that it's always original, so elegant and pure that it's avant-garde. It is simply Altiplano.